So today I'm going to be talking about the debate of, was there an economic miracle during the Nazi period, like early Nazi period, so 1933, 1939, or was this economic miracle really a propaganda myth? So, okay, I'm going to first argue that there was an economic miracle. So, what is some strong evidence on this matter? Well, the pay for overtime work was actually quite generous. They were paid for overtime, which is more than you could say in the golden age. Also, the wages increased and the working conditions also improved. More on that later, but the working conditions did improve. As well as working conditions, there were better health conditions and general safety. And they had canteens with subsidized hot meals. It was quite good. Like on paper, it's quite good. And they had athletic fields, parks, subsidized theater performances, concerts, exhibitions. They had all kinds of stuff. Like sports and hiking groups, dances, adult recreation courses, and subsidized tourism. Like, damn, for workers, life seemed good. They managed to essentially banish unemployment in 4 years not banish, but decrease it quite significantly. And from 1932 to 1938, the gross real wage earnings increased by 21%, which is quite a lot. Also, rents remained stable, so not only did wages increase, but the price you had to pay to live in your house remained the same. Well, not the same, but it's stable. So the standard of living seemingly improved. Then the prices declined for some other goods like electrical appliances, clocks, watches, and food in general. So, that was quite good. Then total industrial production increased from an index of 66 in 1932 to 125 in 1938. So in 6 years, it almost doubled. The industrial production almost doubled. Then employment rose from 12.6 million in 1932 to 18.8 million in 1938. Higher than the 18 million employed during the Golden Age. So, more employed than in the Golden Age. That's a point for the Nazis, I guess. Then public expenditure in Germany rose as well from 17.1 billion Reichsmarks in 1932 to 37.1 billion Reichsmarks in 1938. So 20 billion more Reichsmarks went into public expenditure. So public infrastructure and other goods, the government was paying for them. The government wanted to improve the lives of their citizens. On paper, it seems amazing. But also, big businesses took an 116% increase in income. The GNP increased from 58 billion Reichsmarks in 1932 to 105 billion in 1938. 41% of farmers' income increased. And, in terms of economic autarky, which was one of the Nazis' economic aims, bread was 120% self-sufficient. That is quite impressive. It's quite strong evidence for an economic miracle. Employment increased and unemployment also plummeted to 0.2 million, even though it was more like 3 million, which is still half of what it had been in 1933. But still, industrial production almost doubled in 6 years. Public expenditure increased by 20 billion Reichsmarks. National income increased from 42.6 billion marks in 1932 to 79.8 billion in 1938. So almost double too. It's it's really impressive. There's also some other evidence that's weaker, but still evidence. So, the Volkswagen scheme was established in 1937, which was this scheme, obviously, to try and promote everyone having their own car. The Beetle was designed to transport 2 adults and 3 children and travel at 100 kilometers per hour. And the Volkswagen cost 190 Reichsmarks, and 190 Reichsmarks, and you had to build it up slowly. Then real wages increased from 1936 1938 around 7.5%, and unemployment decreased from 6.16 million in 1932 to what I said, 0.2 million in 1938. However, this is kind of weaker because it doesn't really take into account invisible unemployment, but yeah. So that was all the evidence concerning supporting there was in fact an economic miracle. Now I'm going to tell you the evidence supporting the fact that this economic miracle was just propaganda. This is a propaganda myth. So, yes, prices in food decreased, but there was also a general decrease in food consumption from 1927 to 1937. The biggest decrease of all being, surprisingly, beer. I know, Germany, beer consumption fell. Quite shocking. A 58.7% decrease. Then no family that ever used this Volkswagen scheme ever got they never got the car, and they never got a refund because the money was put in place for armaments production, and the factories that were producing these cars turned into armament factories. Then the average working week, yes, they were paid overtime, but that doesn't count the working week hours. The average working week increased from 43 hours in 1933 to 47 hours in 1939. 4-hour increase, which is quite a lot. The factories, some people just couldn't. In some areas of production kind of stopped because the factories were now going to be used for armament production, armored vehicles, tanks, whatever, preparing for war, a whole rearmament program. Then, like I said, 1939, general production for unnecessary goods just stopped. Like, production stopped because it was focused on rearmament, like I said. Inflation kind of happened, not hyperinflation, but inflation. And unemployment figures, they were also inflated. They de-inflated in this case. Anyway, supposedly they had this 0.2 million unemployed, but that wasn't true. It didn't take into account invisible unemployment. There were around 1.5 million. 1.5 million invisible unemployed. So where are they in the official figures? In the autobahns, there were 125,000 at peak employment. They were claiming there were many more, but really, not even a quarter of a million. Also, the imports and exports never really reached pre-crash levels. You could put this to the Nazis wanting to achieve economic autarky, but still, they still had 1/3 of their goods imported. And I have a figure here. For every 14 imports, there were 12.3 exports, so imports were higher than exports. And then some kind of weak evidence for the propaganda myth was that there was some self-sufficiency, especially in bread, grains, and sugar. Over 100% was produced in Germany, but most wasn't self-sufficient, with fish being 50% produced in Germany, the other 50% in. Also, I mentioned how the conditions improved for the workers, right? Huge evidence for economic miracle, right? Well, not really, because this was all the work of the KDA, the beauty through work, beauty of work, or something like that. And it's this Nazi organization for the workers, part of the GAF, that just gave workers these improved working conditions, but really just made the workers pay for it themselves. Then these subsidized holidays and trips to the theater, all propaganda myth. It was just to control the workers' free time so they couldn't develop radical beliefs against the Nazis. The DAF didn't support any trade unions. I mean, it literally banned trade unions in, I think it was the 6th of May, 1933. So the workers didn't have any representative in politics. The DAF did not did not function as a whole trade union. And these working conditions that apparently increased, it was just part of the whole DAF, SDF, and KDA organizations. SDF being the touristy, fun, entertainment one, and KDA being the increasing improving working conditions. Then there's a whole economic miracle for the workers versus economic miracle for the Nazis. So did the Nazis get their aims? Because they had a bunch of aims. And that's a whole other debate. But the Nazis had 5 aims, like improving working conditions, which I've already addressed, improving relationships with elites, which kind of mentioned, and achieving economic autarky, kind of mentioned. Then rearmament. With the armament, you have to take into account the MIFO bills. You have to take into account, which is kind of a plus, how the 4-year program started in 1935 with the arrival of Goering, because before, from 1933 to 1936, it was Schatz who handled the economy, and from 1936 to 1939, it was Goering. Then 1939 onwards, it was Speer. But so the rearmament program, MIFO bills, the 4-year plan, started in 1935, the same year conscription was introduced, which did remove a lot of people from the employment market. So that helped contribute to the whole unemployment figures. And this turned, like I said, whole factories into in production for armaments. And it was kind of successful, the 4-year plan, because 1935 was when it started and Germany was ready for war. 1939 with the invasion of Poland, but they had already done that whole Austrian Anschluss, militarization of the Rhineland, invasion of the Sudetenland and Czechoslovakia. So that was kind of successful. And what else? I think that's pretty much it. Like the aims. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And rearmament, you have to. The MIFO bills were. I've said the MIFO bills like 3 times already, but they were kind of successful because they were loans from companies and they extended the loan. I think it was for a few more years. They would get more interest, but they never really paid them back. But yeah, because then there's a whole debate, like I said, it's economic miracle for Germany or for the Nazis' aims. So, and to answer the question, in terms of economic miracle for Germany, I think it was a whole propaganda myth. Yes, conditions did improve, but they only improved in some areas, and they were just fulfilling the Nazis' aims, not the workers' aims. So I think it was a propaganda myth. In terms of the Nazis achieving their economic aims, I do believe they achieved them. But I'll probably get into that debate some other time if I have time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Nazi economy is... the Nazis did really revive the economy. You can't really deny how the economy was revived. But compared with the Golden Age, you have to really assess it. And whether this huge propaganda myth huge economic miracle they claimed in their propaganda, I honestly don't think so. But you can make your own conclusions, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I kind of went off notes for a long while, so hey, that's a new thing for me. And yeah, I hope you found it useful, and thank you for watching. Bye.